Good afternoon, class. I am Anjali S. Aparilla, your English teacher for second year high school, section Maginhawa. So how are you today? I hope that every one of you are doing good. Okay, so before we will start our class, let us pray first. So in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, forgive us our sins, as we forgive those who sin against us. Don't commit us, but deliver us from evil. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. Okay, good afternoon, class. Okay, so now we will start our topic, the types of verbs. So who among of you has an idea about the types of verbs? Anyone? Okay, very good, Juveline. Linking verbs. So that is one of the types of verbs so that we are going to discuss today. So here are the types of verbs that we're going to discuss. So first, you have here the transitive verbs. So transitive verbs, it is a verb that expresses an action that terminates in or is received by an object. So the object of a transitive verb can be a noun or a pronoun or a noun clause or a phrase. So you have to notice that the subject and the verb alone would not make sense without an object. So the transitive verbs always need a direct object. So it requires direct objects, right? So it has a needs to transfer action to something or someone. So let us have an example for this. Okay? So here are examples for transitive verbs. Our examples for transitive verbs. First, Nathaniel wrote a letter. So Nathaniel is our subject, wrote is our transitive verb for our verb, and then letter is our object. So notice that if Nathaniel and wrote only and without object, it will not be complete, the sentence. So you have to write a direct object to complete a sentence. Nathaniel wrote. Wrote what? So it always answered the question what. So Nathaniel wrote what? A letter. So that is the transitive verb. The transitive verb. So Meloisa bought an expensive necklace. So here, our Meloisa is our subject. Bought is our verb. And then our object is necklace. So we have here other words before the word necklace, which is expensive. But we cannot consider the word expensive as an object because expensive is an adjective. Okay, so the next types of verbs is intransitive verbs. Intransitive verbs are express action out that do not take an object. So, intransitive verbs do not take an object. So, di niya kailangan ng object. So, the subject and verbs expresses a complete thought without an object. So, the verb can, however, be followed by an adverb or another modifier. So, that is the intransitive verbs. It is like a contrast of the transitive verbs. That is the difference between the transitive verb and the intransitive verbs. Transitive verbs needs direct object. Intransitive verbs doesn't need in an object. So let us have some example. Okay, we have here an example for intransitive verbs. So first example, the dog walks slowly. The dog walk, or our verb is walk slowly. The next to our verb was slowly. It is an adverb. It describes how the dog walked. So it will not answer the question what. Let's see this. The dog walked what? No. The dog walked how? Slowly. So that is the intransitive verb. So next examples is Angelica went to South Korea. Angelica is our subject, went is our verb, and then to South Korea is our prepositional phrase. Prepositional phrase it is if one preposition plus noun, that is what we call a prepositional phrase. Okay? So let's move on to the linking verb. Linking verbs is the verbs of the senses, like you can feel, look, smell, or taste, and a limited number of other verbs like be, seem, or become, or remain that link the subject of the sentence with a complement. So it will link the subject and the complement for the subject. So let have some example of this. So first example is he is tall. He is tall. So our subject he, then our verb is, and then tall. Linking verbs doesn't require an action. It will not show an action. It only links the two prepositional phrase or the sentence and then the complement. So that is the linking verbs. Okay? So let's move on to another types of verbs, which is the active voice verbs. So active voice verbs performs the action denoted by the verb. So it is used in a clause was subject expresses the main verb's agent. So here in active voice, you have to see that the subject will comes first, and then the next will be the verb, and then the object. So let us have some example for this verb. Okay, so first example, Harry ate 6 shrimp at dinner. Okay, so Harry is our subject, so our subject comes first, and then eat, that is our verb, and then at dinner is our object. So second example, beautiful giraffes roam the savannah. So giraffe is our subject, then roam is our verb, and then savannah is our object. So that is the pattern for the active voice verb. So if you can say that the subject comes first, and then the verb, and then the object, so that is an active voice verb. The passive voice verbs is the verb that allow the subject to receive the action rather than to do the action. So passive voice verbs are made by using some form of the verb be that is followed by a verb ending in en or ad, unless the participle of the verb is irregular. So only transitive verbs can be turned into a passive form. So let us have some example for this verb. Okay, first example, at dinner, 6 shrimp were eaten by Harry. So this active voice and passive voice have the same form, only that the passive voice starts with an object. Okay, so in active voice, the subject will comes first, then the verb, and then the object. But in the passive voice, the object comes first, and then the verb, and then the subject. Okay, and then here in the passive voice, we have to usually the sentence is longer than the active voice, because here in the passive voice we have to add some linking verbs to connect with the subject. Okay, so that's all for today. I hope that everyone has something to learn from our topics, types of verbs. Okay, goodbye class, and have a good day.